Morning. Wouldn't be the holidays without some Peanuts music, am I right? You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
Thank you, Jeff. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica. I'm Ken Drake, coordinator of the Social Justice Council and chair of the Racial Justice Team. Whether you are visiting for the first time or have been a member for many years, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known, if any, you are welcome here. Whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here. We are invited to bring our whole selves to this worship service, our doubts as well as our convictions, the pain and joy we have known, our longing for connection and understanding. Every part of you is welcome here. Our congregation acknowledges that the land on which the UU Utica is situated is the ancestral lands of the Oneida Nation, one of the original nations of the Haudenosaunee or Iroquois people. If you are visiting today for the first time, either in person or online, we are glad you have joined us. We would love to learn more about you and connect with you with our newsletter if you would like. There will be a link in the chat to a form that we hope any online visitors would fill out and hope you will stay for informal conversations in breakout groups after the service if there are any today. I'll have a couple of announcements to start. Reverend Brammer, Carol Gable, and I are in the initial stages of structuring a congregational campaign to counter injustice in all its manifestations. Contact any one of us to learn more about this effort. Also, the church for many years had a Social Action Green Sanctuary Committee. The actions of the group of individuals that were part of that committee over the many years did so many good things. And we are looking at starting up some of those initiatives once again. And we need volunteers to serve as task force leadership members or just to coordinate the effort. We used to collect monthly items for a monthly basket collection. Now I'm going to get myself in trouble, but I believe it was Barbara Maris, a longtime member years ago, that started this project. I know Deborah Hagenbuck was very involved as she would deliver many of the items to the agencies throughout the city. I did that on occasion as well. There are many non-for-profits in the city that collect items, and it can be anything from um, soft goods, toilet paper and paper products. It could be toothbrushes and toothpaste. And we have a collection basket here in church, and people would just bring in items and they would put them in the basket every Sunday. And then someone from this group would take them to the organization we were supporting for that particular month. I bring this to your attention because I'm also looking for a volunteer from the congregation who would be able to serve as a liaison between the Citizen Action Group in the city of Utica and this church. There's a couple of initiatives that they're involved with. One is a child care initiative, provide child care for parents. Right now there's a group called Academics First, which is at the DeSales Center in Utica on Genesee Street, an organization that we have supported for many, many years. There's a diaper collection campaign. There's all sorts of need in the community, and our church could, once again, now that we're trying to reorganize and restructure from the COVID pandemic, we can now maybe get back into some of these worthwhile outreaches, okay? So if you're interested in serving on any of these committees or whatever, even the one that we're going to be talking about today, the UUSC, a service committee, which is part of the human rights efforts on an international level. We're going to be supporting that with our donation today. That's usually organized in the fall, and it runs for a couple of weeks. So it's not a major involvement. We just need people to step up. So again, if there's anybody that wants to learn more about that and connect with us, please do so. Are there any other individuals that have announcements from the group? Carol Gable, our board president.
Hello. I just wanted to announce that we've had an open vacant position on the board for several months now, and Matt Cavalieri has agreed to accept that position at the board's request, and so please welcome him as the newest member. He's been helping us out a lot in various activities. He's not here today, but he'll be here. And the other announcement is we need help today bringing in Christmas decorations from the shed into the church and doing a little decorating afterwards because it's Christmas. What? Oh, sorry. We'll do decorating during the week. We just need help getting the stuff in here. Oh, Wednesday night at 7:30 is going to be decorating here, and people can come if they want to help. Great, because the season is upon us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Carol. Our chalice lighting this morning is a preamble to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. December 10th each year is the day that particular signing ceremony is recognized. Recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. We honor Human Rights Day, December 10th of each year, with these words as we light our chalice. We will now sing a hymn, 1017, Building a New Way. Thank you. As a call to worship today, I'm going to read What Are Human Rights? This first excerpt is from the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. While some dictionaries define the word right as a privilege, when used in the context of human rights, we are talking about something more basic. Every person is entitled to certain fundamental rights simply by the fact of being human. These are called human rights rather than a privilege, which can be taken away from anyone at someone's whim. They are rights, because they are things you are allowed to be, to do, or to have. These rights are there for your protection against people who might want to harm or hurt you. They are also there to help us get along with each other and to live in peace. In addition, I have a short reading from Human Rights Day in an Unjust World, an essay by UU Minister Allison Hess, which was written in December of 2016. Allison served as the International Engagement Associate at the UU Association until April of this year. She wrote, "Every year on December 10th, the world celebrates Human Rights Day. It is the anniversary of the day the United Nations adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. Eleanor Roosevelt represented the United States on the drafting committee of the UDHR. This is not in the script, but you probably would understand and know that not all nations signed on to this, but it was the effort was there by many, many nations. I continue. Supporting human rights and responding to human rights violations is an inherently Unitarian Universalist action. The UDHR itself was written by John Peters Humphrey, a Canadian Unitarian who drafted the initial text. And still today, around the world, our faith aligns itself firmly on the side of human rights. Unitarian Universalists are actively engaged in struggles for social justice and the equal protection of rights denied to so many. As a people of faith, we must gather together in solidarity and in defense of all people's human rights. On Human Rights Day, we acknowledge how far the world has come and also recognize how much work there is yet to be accomplished in achieving respect and dignity for all. The UUSC works collaboratively around the world with organizations to foster efforts to make sure that all people are entitled and have access to services when their rights are being violated. Today we have, besides myself, two other individuals who are going to be speaking to initiatives briefly to describe what the work of the UUSC is. And let's see, I want to make sure I'm on. Yes. So to start off, we're going to have one of our congregants, Glenn Coyne, who will come to speak on crisis response around the world.
Thanks, Ken. Thank you, Ken. Stay. Thanks, Ken. One of the most important ways that the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee defends human rights is by responding to crises. And this takes a couple of forms. Short-term responses to natural disasters, such as hurricanes, and a longer-term response to the political and ethnic strife and crisis in Myanmar, also known as Burma. In both ways, the UUSC tries to defend human rights and help those in need in a way that recognizes already standing inequities. And the UUSC works with local groups, recognizing that the groups who are already doing the work of social justice in a community are best poised to help those in need. As the UUSC says, Grassroots organizations who are best positioned to respond because they know the affected communities and their needs. Unlike large aid agencies, which roll out large-scale disaster programs in a one-size-fits-all approach, UUSC understands that when a disaster strikes, people's situations vary greatly, depending on their age, race, class, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Our work begins with an understanding that how people are oppressed before a disaster will affect their access to relief after a disaster. One example was the response to Hurricane Laura, which hit the Gulf Coast in August of 2020. That storm killed 12 people. It caused $8 billion in damages. And because it struck near a series of petrochemical facilities, it also released a lot of pollution into the air and water into an area that's already faced with pollution. So the UUSC in that case joined with a group called the Lowlander Center. And they are a group helping to resettle a number of indigenous people in that area who have lost 98% of their land to rising sea levels. And these are the kind of people hit hardest by a natural disaster and the ones that UUSC tries to help most. So again, from the UUSC, we know from experience in the region that communities of color, undocumented immigrants, low-income communities, people with disabilities, seniors, and the housing insecure, all facing injustice before the storm, will experience tremendous hardship and violation of their rights when attempting to access aid, rebuilding homes, and engaging in long-term recovery projects. The UUSC uses a similar approach in its ongoing response in Myanmar, where a long-running civil war has plagued the country, and particularly its religious and ethnic minorities. UUSC has been in Myanmar since 1995, working with local groups to promote human rights, women's leadership, and grassroots mobilization among refugee populations, particularly near the Thai-Myanmar border. Much as it has done in the US, the UUSC has expanded its support in Myanmar to include aid for grassroots communities facing natural disasters. The UUSC, for example, funded a community center for Burmese immigrants, or migrants into southern Thailand after the unprecedented Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004. It also provided humanitarian aid in 2008 after Cyclone Nargis, considered the worst natural disaster ever in Myanmar, killed 140,000 people and hundreds of thousands of others displaced. The UUSC is also committed in Burma to helping the minority Rohingya Muslim group, whose treatment by the Myanmar government bears the hallmark of genocide, according to the UN. The 2017 military campaign against the Rohingya was unprecedented in its brutality, according to the UUSC. The action killed an unknown number of people and forced 700,000 to flee as refugees to nearby Bangladesh. In Myanmar, the UUSC, in its own words, says, "We focus on supporting Rohingya partners and allies to build a solidarity movement for equality, justice, and accountability."
Thank you, Glenn. The initiative that I'm going to be focusing on is Central American Migrant Justice. Recently, I attended the New York State Convention of Universalists annual meeting in Rochester, and on the Saturday there were a variety of workshops, and the first had to do with, that I attended, was a speaker who is an attorney that works with migrants who are trying to bring cases against the U.S. government, especially when mothers whose children have been taken from them when they get to the United States. It was a very interesting workshop, and what I found interesting was she told the history of how we've dealt with migrants, asylum seekers particularly, from the Nixon administration through the current administration, but focusing on the prior president before the one we have now. But at any rate, This is what the UUSC works to address. Violence, impunity, and corruption have forced thousands of Central Americans to flee their homes. All people have the rights to safety, human dignity, and a process to seek asylum. Yet when they flee, migrants face further dangers and abuses designed to deter them from their journey. Upon reaching the United States, they can be detained, prosecuted, or have their family members taken from them. After years spent building their lives in the United States, they may still be at risk of deportation. As with all initiatives, the UUSC forces our grant-making and partner support on grassroots organizations, working with systemic change. We believe that connecting groups across the migrant trail from El Salvador to Mexico to the United States will create a strong movement centered on the rights of people and not borders. The rights of peoples, not borders. The root causes of forced displacement are just as important to address as ensuring sanctuary and refuge from harm. UUSC focuses its efforts on supporting new systems of protection, particularly for women and indigenous youth, and stopping U.S. military aid to security forces and U.S.-backed development projects, both of which escalate violence and create instability. One of the efforts, the right to safety on the migrant trail, the UUSC supports organizations along the trail from Central America to the United States to protect migrants from violence and extortion while in transit and help them to safely seek asylum in Mexico if they choose to do so. The UUSC believes that migrants in the United States should have the right to seek asylum, to be free from arbitrary detention and deportation, and that families should stay together out of detention. In the wake of the 2016 election and the emergence of the former president's anti-immigration agenda, UUSC joined together with the Unitarian Universal Association to ensure our communities were protected. This partnership developed into Love Resists, a joint campaign that activates people of faith and conscience to resist the criminalization of our neighbors and communities and create a safer, more just, welcoming, and sustainable world. I encourage all of you to research, Google loveresist.org or go to UUA and find a link to it, because the work of that organization and the UUSC is very important to the migrant security issues. We will now sing the hymn 1014, Answering the Call of Love, which will be followed by our third presenter this morning, Barbara Freeman, on climate justice.
So in your hymnals, you might notice that this is called Standing on the Side of Love, because I haven't updated it yet. But in the spirit of the justice of this song, at one point in time, our UU disabled community came to the author and said, could we make this more inclusive? And Jason, the composer, said yes, and would like us to sing Answering the Call of Love instead of Standing on the Side of Love.
Good morning. Climate action and climate justice have long been linked in our UU faith and in the work and advocacy of the UUSC, Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. The information I bring is not just about the future. This work and this climate harm are happening now. In fact, 2 of the 6 Marshall Islands have been totally lost already. It's a fact that most warming gases have come from industrialized countries, and the most suffering is felt in unindustrialized or non-industrialized countries. Along with physical suffering comes loss of basic human rights: food insecurity, water and sanitation, self-determination, education, sovereignty, life, property, health, housing, work, sustainable development, prior informed consent, culture and heritage, adequate standard of living. Well before a catastrophic event, UUSC recognizes threats to human life and rights. When sea level rises lead to saltwater intrusion of groundwater aquifers on low-lying atolls, such as Kiribati in the Pacific, people's human rights to water and food are threatened. When increasing temperatures accelerate permafrost thawing and erosion in communities such as Kivalina in Alaska, and homes and infrastructure fall into the sea, people's rights to adequate housing and property are threatened. In such situations, overcrowding and inadequate resources can lead to additional challenges such as poor sanitation and hygiene. In the last few years, loss of home and land to the sea has been easiest to see in the Pacific Islands like Kiribati, the Solomon Islands, and the Marshall Islands being taken over by the sea. The rate of sea level is increasing with added vulnerability to huge waves. Less in the headlines are the indigenous villages sinking as permafrost melts, happening in Alaska, the Russian tundra, and other far north territories. One UUSC partner is with Marshall Islands Conservation Society, MICS, M-I-C-S. The UUSC MICS partnership is allowing the Melalap Atoll community to gather and analyze risk information to build residents' capacity to communicate their climate story and make community development and natural resource decisions that prolong the habitability of their atoll home. When working with affected local communities, UUSC makes sure the local residents' direction and ownership of the project is there. They make sure that communities at risk are actively engaging in planning, adaptation, risk management, monitoring, and resilience activities. What happens when you give to UUSC? Well, UUSC has earned the highest possible rating, 4 out of 4 stars, from Charity Navigator, America's largest independent evaluator of nonprofit organizations. This 4-star exceptional rating indicates sound fiscal management and a commitment to accountability and transparency. The rating reflects UUSC's consistent execution of its mission in a fiscally responsible way. Over the course of the 2021 fiscal year, UUSC distributed 38 emergency grants, spending an additional $420,000 above the regularly planned budget. These funds immediately ensured our global network of partners could keep open pathways of opportunity for people who were forced to face an unprecedented public health crisis, on top of systemic oppression that they've already been confronting. In a time of increasingly complex climate and human rights challenges, you help UUSC to provide relief when the world's needs are extraordinary.
As was noted previously, today's offering will be sent to the UUSC. Before the collection, we would like to share with you this there's a 3-minute introduction from the UUSC, which is very informational. And then before the before the collection, I would like to state some or repeat something else also. So I got another announcement to make. But let's watch the video, please.
Hello, friends. My name is Laura Randall, and I'm a minister on staff here at the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, better known as UUSC. We are grateful and honored that you've chosen to share your offering today with UUSC. For those who may be hearing about us for the first time, UUSC is an international human rights organization grounded in Unitarian Universalist values and founded in response to the rise of Nazism. Since our founding in 1940, we have continued to support people facing humanitarian crisis and displacement from their homes due to natural disaster, political violence, genocide, severe climate change impacts, and more. UUSC's work is based on a partnership model that centers the experience and leadership of the people who are most impacted by injustice. This partnership includes support of some of the most creative and courageous groups of people you can imagine, who are working for justice, often under very dangerous conditions. For example, we work with partners in Alaska, Louisiana, and the Pacific to support Indigenous communities facing rising seas, melting permafrost, and other severe climate change impacts in their ancestral homelands. We partner to support Central Americans fleeing gang violence, gender-based violence, and economic devastation, working with our partners to support people in migration and asylum seekers in transit and in the United States, as well as collaborating to address the root causes of migration. Like most UU institutions, we carry forward this bold work with a modest budget. We work smart, we strive to be agile, and our work with our partners, innovative grassroots organizers and courageous activists, has proven to be a very effective way to make a tangible difference in places where people are often left behind by larger, more bureaucratic organizations. We are proud to receive the highest rating from Charity Navigator for our financial health and our accountability and transparency practices. We are able to do all that we do because people like you, and indeed some of you here today, make it possible with financial support. Your support ensures that in these chaotic times, with threats to human rights expanding in many arenas, our response too can expand. That's why I'm inviting you today to join us or renew your membership with a gift of any amount. We are a membership organization and receive no funding from the UUA. It is your donations that make UUSC's work possible. Information on how to give will be provided after this video, or you can make a gift by going to uusc.org. We also encourage you to sign up for UUSC action alerts by texting UUSC to 52886. Gifts of $150 or more from individuals are eligible to be matched dollar for dollar by the UU congregation at Shelter Rock. On behalf of the other 40 people on staff, our partners and allies around the world, thank you. Thank you for your generosity and your commitment to human rights in this critical time. We couldn't do this work without you.
If you're on Zoom and you would like to mail a donation to the UUSC, please mail it this week. We'll be collecting throughout the week, and let us know that it's for the UUSC. In response to the video, the $150 plus donation that will be matched by a UU church or an individual on Long Island, you can ask to take one of the, you could take one of these envelopes, which Jeff Chard has for you if you wish to do so. And then also, there are online donation forms for those of you who are more inclined to do something like that. You go to guest at your table, or you just type in uuscdonations.org, and that should come up. But we would like to collect the donations in total here, and then send one check from our church. It looks better for us, you know, and it's something we've done for years and years prior to COVID. I would also like to add that there was a former member of this congregation who, her name was Joanne, I can't remember her last name, and I apologize for that. Joanne Jacobson. And I first got to know her when I joined the church just a little over 10 years ago. And she was a person who would go annually to the UN meetings in New York City and represent our church. Diane Stebbins was involved with a UUN activity group in Utica, New York, or Central New York. So again, there's another volunteer effort, something our church has always been involved with, and we just don't have people coming forward volunteering for things. I don't know why, but if you are so inclined, we would really appreciate if you would be interested in doing something on a more global level. Ushers, now is your time. Before we extinguish the flame, the chalice, I would like to just mention our shared ministry today. In addition to myself, Barb Freeman, Glenn Coyne, Kim Bywater, Jeff Chard, Melissa Barlett, and Alex Jackson. This was a collaborative effort, and I'm glad everything seemed to work out pretty well. All right? So if you would, read along with me in your order of service, extinguish the flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. The benediction. Now go in peace, celebrate the beauty, search for the good, and may all that we do be done in love. And our postlude will be Hallelujah for the Earth, original by Leonard Cohen, new words by Dana Clark, and it'll be sung by Barb Freeman, hopefully, when she returns, and the chorus.
Hey, Barb. Barb, I got words.
She's got her highlighted one.
This is like my whole day. A funeral and a party and a concert tonight. Sorry. We didn't count money fast enough. That's because it was so generous. This song, I was attending a webinar for the UU Ministry for the Earth on lobbying legislatures. And they gave us this song to download. Several churches have actually taken their choirs and sung this in front of state legislatures when they're about to pass climate legislation. Only now I'm breathless because I ran. So that's an issue when you have COPD. This precious web of life on earth, inheritance of all at birth, has every blessing freely given to ya. It is a fragile, holy ground, a treasure to be handed down. Our overflowing hearts sing hallelujah. 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 Will we be proud to pass along our healthy planet still so strong? Now we are here to bring that question to ya. Our faith is strong, we face the truth that climate change needs no more proof. Our broken heart is sending hallelujah. 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 Innocence, or was it greed? We've taken far more than we need, and consequences threaten to undo ya. For careless ways we'll pay the cost if beauty of the earth is lost. Our broken hearts will sing no hallelujah. 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 Because this planet cannot wait, this country must not hesitate. Our quality of life we're trusting to ya. We'll work together to survive so we can keep the earth alive. Our hopeful hearts declare a hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Freeman. Thank you, Barb.